Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk. I am Shekhar Gupta, and if I told you that my guest today is sometimes called Tom Hanks of Hindi cinema, sometimes Russell Crowe, but many of his directors actually call him an insufferable perfectionist, you will have no problem guessing it's Aamir Khan. Aamir, welcome to Walk the Talk.
Thank you.
And what a setting we have found for you, Delhi's Red Fort.
Yes, I've never been here actually.
Well, I've been considering that, you've been shooting your films in that sort of a period for some time.
Yes.
Surprised? You haven't shot one here yet.
Well, I'd love to shoot here. It's a beautiful place, and I'm glad we're shooting this here so I can take a look at the Red Fort and how things were at that time.
So if the next one now has a Mughal theme, going a couple of 100 years, even further back.
Yes.
What is this fascination? 1857, the 19th century fascination.
Yeah, it's quite a coincidence actually. I mean, it's
Lagan, Rising.
Yeah, it's not a fascination I have for that period or any such thing. Lagan as a film, as a story, intrigued me and interested me. The fact that it was in that period was incidental to me in my decision of doing the film. Similarly, when I'm doing Mangal Pandey, it's the concept of the film, it's the story that interests me. That it is set in that period it just happens to be set in that period. So it's not the fascination of the period. It's a coincidence that I happen to be doing a number of them so close together. But the concept, what interested me in Rising, for example, is the concept of freedom. And Mangal is essentially used as a symbol. He is used as somebody who represents that part of Indian society which had begun to awaken, had begun to question. It's about the rising consciousness at that time.
Because Red Fort was actually a symbol of 1857.
Yes.
And this is where then many of those who fought on the other side against the British were then brought and punished and made an example of.
That's right.
In fact, since then this place became a symbol of British power. That's why all these silly colonial buildings came up. That was actually a great Mughal monument.
Yes.
So 1857 was about freedom. Lagan 1893 was defiance.
Well, actually Lagan was more about the triumph of the human spirit, the ability of the underdog to achieve the impossible. That was really the theme of Lagan. And the theme of Rising is a concept of freedom. While the film is set in 1857, it is actually very relevant even today. One of the things that interested me to Rising was it's very similar. It's about a superpower, a society which is extremely powerful at any given point of time, which feels it has the right to govern and take over other societies, tell them how to live life, exploit them completely.
But
which is happening even today. It's very relevant even today.
But you've had this underdog theme running through many of your movies. Rangila, for example. It looks like you fished out his trousers from your Rangila.
Well, in popular cinema, underdog is a character which is very appealing to audiences, and I might have played it more than once. Yes. Again, not intentional.
But which one did you enjoy doing most?
Between Rangila and the films I've done.
Right.
Well, the number of films that I've enjoyed doing, I'd say Rangila is...
Which character sort of did you get most immersed in? Or which character do you sometimes live now at some odd occasion?
I don't generally live my characters beyond the duration of the film.
Do you sometimes wake up thinking you are Munna? Or?
No, that doesn't happen to me, no. I'd love to pretend it does, but that doesn't happen. No, if I can get into the character for the duration of the shot itself, for me that itself is a big achievement. It's tough enough even to do that. Among the characters that I've played so far, I guess Munna from Rangila or Sanjay Lal from Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar, Bhuvan from Lagan, A.C.P. Rathore from Sarfarosh, Akash from Dil Chahta Hai. These are the few I can remember, which I found very interesting. And
You see, this whole comparison with Russell Crowe comes because of your sort of, not just inclination, but your obsession with living character. You know, for a song you get drunk, you grow your hair and by the way, do you miss all that stuff?
no, I'm quite relieved it's no longer there actually, because I was getting a little tired of the long hair. It's very difficult to look after, and the mustache was getting in the way, too much.
You never thought of keeping some of that for some more time?
Well, I grew it for the film, and by the time we finished shooting the film, it had been 2 years since I had it. I was quite tired of it. It took me a year to grow it and then 6 months to shoot. So I was looking forward to getting rid of it, and I'm quite happy without it right now.
But that's not what everybody does.
Yeah.
You know, getting drunk, getting fat, getting thin.
Well, I enjoy my work. I like doing it with all my heart. I like to do it with, a lot of passion, and that's how I work. So these are not decisions I take. They're not pre-planned. It's when I'm doing a film, what I feel like doing, in that excitement of doing a film, in that excitement of being a character. I do what what I feel like doing, or I go to the extent that I feel is necessary to. Like until that scene you're talking about in Raja Hindustani,
Right.
I had never consumed alcohol in my life, and I had to play the scene where I'm completely smashed. So I told the director, I don't know what it feels like to be drunk.
That's a good excuse for getting initiated to alcohol.
Well, yeah, in fact it is, but as it turned out, I mean, for the duration of the scene, which took about a day to shoot, I was completely sloshed while we were shooting that scene. And I think it helped me a lot because, quite honestly, I was very afraid to play drunk and ham it. Pretend drunk, and especially since I don't know what really being drunk is all about. So I figured by consuming alcohol, the physical aspects of slurring or body language when you're drunk would get taken care of by the alcohol. So it would reduce my work as an actor.
So you didn't mind getting drunk, but you didn't want to come across
shot. Yeah.
Kester Mukherjee or Johnny Lever as a exaggerated.
No, but they do a good job. I have to say, Kester Mukherjee did an excellent drunk, and so does Johnny. They do an excellent drunk.
And the best.
Shah Rukh Khan and Devdas. I would have done it differently. I would have done it differently. Well, I felt that the way that Devdas was approached, by the creative team that made the film, I had my reservations with that. I felt that Devdas is a character who's doomed and who's a flawed character. He's essentially a flawed character, and he's essentially a weak character. And therein lies his strength, if I can put it that way, or therein lies
distinctiveness,
his uniqueness, and that's what makes him appealing to us. It's his lack of strength and his lack of ability to take a stance, and then his streak of self-destruction, which makes him appealing to us. So a weak man who's very self-destructive, but who's got a lot of ego and pride as well along with it, is, I felt that's a very interesting character. And I felt that in this case, the creative team kind of removed all the weaknesses from the character.
How?
Well, they put the blame on the parents. And the turmoil of the character didn't come through for me, at least. So, I mean, getting drunk and sloshed is one thing, but feeling a certain way and destroying yourself.
Did you see a bit of hamming there?
Well, I don't know. I would have done it differently. Let me put it this way. I don't think that. I think Shah Rukh is a very talented actor, and Shah Rukh has a lot of strengths as an actor, which perhaps I don't have.
You've got this unique business model. You do one film in 3 or 4 years, and then you make all your crores from these ads. Is that a sustainable model? We only got that many years, particularly in our youth. I know that you turned 40.
Yeah.
It's
not I don't know whether it's a business model or how good it is. I don't normally do one film in 4 years. It just happened this way.
The last 1 year.
In the last 4 years, I've just done one film, and the reason for that was purely personal. I was going through a lot of problems in my personal life, because of which I didn't work for 2.5 years. And so this gap was unplanned, unintentional, and it's not something that has happened earlier or will happen again. But yes, I do one film at a time, and I think I've never looked upon it as a tactic or as a good business move. It's more how I want to work. I've always wanted to work this way. I mean, I began working in films, and at that time I was doing more than one film at a time, which is what the norm was. I was extremely uncomfortable doing that.
I'll tell you what, lesser mortals like me think that you film stars never face something like a personal turmoil. We think you've got the world under your feet. You can move from one situation to another, one relation to another, the masters of your own lives. It's unusual to have a star of your stature say that you lost a couple of years because of personal turmoil. Where is the star cynicism? Okay, I'll move on to something else.
No, I guess...
Personal turmoils and things are for people like us.
No, certainly not. I mean, in fact, I would say that probably celebrities are people whose personal lives are constantly being discussed publicly. So in that sense, the various turmoils that celebrities go through...
But many of them enjoy it. They want it.
Well, maybe. But I guess personal traumas and stuff in your life is things that most of us go through in our lives, and each one deals with it in their own way.
This was to do with your marriage?
This was to do with my marriage.
That's many years.
Of 16 years.
Right. So it's not as if you just walked out of the marriage because you found a better relationship or a more attractive person. It was...
Well, why and what happened in the marriage is not something I would like to discuss publicly.
No.
But certainly
you don't
it was...
have to. But you know, we are sort of... You certainly are a metrosexual grown-up man. I'm grown up. I don't know what else. But there were complexities involved there.
Yes, there were certain issues which ultimately, in this case, my wife and I were not able to resolve. And it resulted in the breakup of our relationship.
Because the popular view of these things involving a star is that he obviously got fed up of one relationship or got tired or something became stale and he found someone more attractive. And if a star stays on in a marriage, it seems to be an unusual thing.
Well, again, I don't want to go into the intricacies of what happened and why our relationship in particular went through certain problems. But certainly it was a period which was extremely traumatic both for Reena and myself and both our families and certainly our children. We did the best we could under the circumstances, and I guess that's it. Yeah.
No, but do you regret it?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't think that's a question I'll ever be able to answer.
That's from one grown-up man to another.
Yeah, I think that's a question I'll constantly I'll keep asking myself for the rest of my life, and I'll never come up with the right answer. Because I value Reena very much, and I always will.
And it certainly wasn't by choice.
What? Sorry? Our breakup?
Yeah.
No, of course it was. I mean, it was certainly by choice.
No, by choice and just deciding overnight to move on to something else.
No, it wasn't as simple as that.
Complexities leading to something. Yeah. And how have you handled it? Your children?
Well,
life after divorce. Again, a metrosexual issue.
Well, I think that I have a lovely pair of kids, my son Junaid and Ira, and they're both very, very close to me and to Reena. And for them, as far as possible, we have tried that things don't change, and in fact they haven't. The one change that has happened is I have begun spending a lot more time with them, purely out of an emotional choice and need, something that I should have been doing much earlier. They're doing very well. I think they're kids with a lot of sense, and they're very rooted. and they were extremely close to both Reena and me, and I think they've handled it really well.
So the reason I'm asking you this is not for cheap thrills of getting into a film star's life. You know, divorce, running your life after divorce in a very competitive world is a challenge that a lot of growing successful people face these days. And it's tougher in the case of a film star because everything is under magnifying glass and more.
Yes, it was tough, especially because of the fact that I'm a celebrity, and I'm sure that must have made it complicated, not only for me, but for everyone involved in this issue. But we did the best we could to handle it.
So would you have any advice for other people who face the same trauma?
Certainly not. I don't think I'm capable of giving that kind of advice.
You'll do a how-to book or how not to?
Certainly not. I don't think I can be as presumptuous as to have answers to all these things. I don't think I have them.
But it's never smooth. And
No, it's not.
And it does prey on your mind and soul.
Certainly. Well, why only a marriage breaking up? I think any relationship which you build over time, or when you lose a person, somebody dies in your family, any relationship which breaks up causes you trauma. And to deal with that is never easy, and there is no one way of dealing with it. You have to find your own way of dealing with it.
And that's very interesting because, you know, most stars would sort of handle that cynically with a nonchalance, you know, raat gayi, baat gayi.
I don't think that's accurate. I think that
At least in public they would.
I don't know. I would imagine that I've been noticing you've been saying this about stars and stars. My personal view
Frankly,
is
I haven't heard a star talk like this about a personal relationship.
maybe, but what I would like to add here.
Either it's a facile, doesn't matter, or I won't talk about it. But tell me what you'd like
Yes,
to add.
what I would like to say really here is that, you know, a number of times I hear this statement, you know, stars would react this way or stars would react. It's very important to know that stars or celebrities have not come from Mars and Jupiter.
But you know, talk about media getting into stars' personal lives and things. Now we have a new trend, hidden cameras, you know, the whole Shakti Kapoor business.
Yeah.
Does that interest you?
I think it's appalling. I think it's really appalling what happened. I think that the channel is trying to say that it was doing an expose of how the casting couch operates in the film industry. I think that point of view is a complete sham.
Why do you say so?
Because that's not what they were showing. They were showing a girl who was flirting with a particular person. I don't care who it may be. A girl is flirting with a person for 6 months, and you know, kind of, and he's an adult. It's his personal choice of what he does with his life, who he meets, who he doesn't.
Right.
He was certainly not doing anything illegal. He was certainly not coming on to her. He was certainly not. It wasn't a case of molestation or something. You know, there was a girl who was flirting with this guy, and he was reacting to her as he would. So the point of view.
His defense was
The point of view that it is meant to expose how the casting couch system works in the industry is a sham to begin with. Secondly, the fact that, you know, it is completely appalling that you go into a person's personal life, record that. According to me, it's fraud. It's complete fraud. There's a case of fraud over here. There's fraud happening.
Is there a casting couch?
I'm sure there is. I'm absolutely sure there is. I have had no personal experience of it with myself or my associates around me. So I cannot say that I have experienced it or even heard about it. And I've been working for the last 15 years as an actor and 4 years before that as an assistant director. So it's almost 19 years that I have been in the film industry. I'm sure it exists. And the reason I'm sure it exists is not because I have any examples to go by or stories that I've heard, but because of my common sense. That tells me that I'm sure it exists, and not only in the film industry, it probably exists in many walks of life. I'm sure it exists in probably every walk of life. where a person wants something done and is willing to do something in exchange, is willing to do something to get something in exchange. That's, brought down to his brass tacks, that's what it comes down to.
So Aamir, talking about your own life, one thing about you is your elusive nature. You don't party, you don't know who your friends are, you don't land up at most film events, except the few you choose. We now see you sort of coming out a little bit, signing these petitions on Narendra Modi, things like that. Just tell me a bit more about yourself. I mean, what events deserve Aamir Khan? How do you decide what deserves Aamir Khan, what doesn't deserve Aamir Khan?
You're making me out to be some
complex person.
I'm sure I'm as complex as the next person, but well, public events I'm careful about going to, because I feel that, one, I want to go to places that I enjoy going to and I feel comfortable going to. There are places that I specifically don't want to go to because I'm trying to make a point. Places that I do not want to support, people perhaps that I don't want to support. So there are places I don't go to for particular reasons. Other than that, it's mostly I don't want to have...
And what is this new thing about, Narendra Modi? I was reading some place that during the Bombay riots, in fact, it was Prahlad Kakkar's story, that you called Prahlad and two of you went out to rescue your driver from the slums.
Well, I think that...
Has Gujarat sort of strengthened that?
No, I think that, as I grew, as a human being, as I grew up from being a child to an adult, I realized that there is a lot of poison that can be spread in people's minds. And for example, this case of, what happened in Gujarat was really appalling. According to me, somebody like Modi there were Indians killed over there. There were innocent Indians who were killed. It's completely irrelevant whether they were Hindus or Muslims or Christians or Parsis or Sikhs. There were Indians being killed.
And for which no one seems to have been punished so far.
By a leader who's supposedly a leader, and he is responsible, he and his party, he and his people are responsible for the killings of and high trauma on thousands of Indians. And in my opinion, the person and the people who do this, indulge in these kind of things, are most unpatriotic, completely anti-Indian thing that is being done.
Because they damage the idea of India.
They damage the idea of humanity, first of all. They damage the idea of a good, healthy society. And one, nothing is being done about it, or very little is being done about it. Certainly there are a lot of people who are raising their voice. And it is good to see that. But I have complete faith, I must add here.
In the system?
Not in the system, in the people of India. And I feel that at the end of the day, the people of India are people with a lot of love and warmth. And they eventually do come through. They might get misguided for some time.
Well, I'm sure,
but by and large,
when they listen to you saying this, they'll be inspired, and that will make a difference.
I don't know, but I hope so.
Do we expect that one of your future films will be more contemporary, dealing with some of these problems?
Well, in one way or the other, a number of my films are dealing with similar problems. Sarfarosh, in fact, I don't know whether you saw that, dealt with this issue. In the news nowadays, you have this, the US rejecting the visa for Mr. Modi, and that has become a thing of national honor now. I don't see it that way. For me, it's not that. I have my own views in the US, and I have a lot of problems with George Bush. They're not few in number. And I don't care what the US is doing really, whether they're giving visas or not giving visas. I have a problem with our reaction.
You think our reaction is over the top?
No, I feel our reaction is that first of all we should say, hey, we didn't penalize a person who's been killing innocent people. Somebody else is raising a voice. That voice may be America, it may be, I don't care who it is. So instead of us saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe we should have taken cognizance of this much earlier.
Right.
And since we haven't, let's take cognizance of it now. That is, I feel, the approach that...
We've gone over the top.
Over the top is the wrong term that we are using over here. I feel that we have missed the point, if you know what I'm saying.
That's a good point. Yeah. Before we conclude, will you tell me the one dream role you want to do? I know everybody asks you that question, but you give an interview once in many years, so I can ask you now.
Well, the dream role.
Mughal Azam, you're standing on Diwan-e Khas.
No, in fact, my dream role probably is the role of Karna from the Mahabharata. I've read the Mahabharata, which was really
Aamir Khan with
fascinating.
earrings.
I don't know
It's
whether I can
interesting.
play Karna because Karna is a warrior. He's meant to be 6.5 feet, ideally. So I don't think I'll ever be able to play the role, but the mind of the character is what really fascinates me. He's a very heroic character. He's a character with a lot of sacrifice and a lot of strength and a lot of loyalty.
And a very, very complex character and very interesting, just like you, Aamir. So wish you all the best. You'll make an excellent Karna.
Thank you.